From the 2014 International Premium Cigar Retailers Convention in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. This is a special televised edition of the Cigar Dave Show. Exclusive broadcast coverage of the 2014 IPCPR Convention is presented by Davidoff Cigars. Time beautifully filled. Introducing the new Davidoff Nicaragua Diadema. The adventure continues. The experience reaches new heights. And the new Primeros Nicaragua by Davidoff. The cigar of the year is now the adventure of 15 minutes. Now, front and center from Command Center Alpha at the Sands Expo Center in Las Vegas, America's Alpha Male-in-Chief, the General, Cigar Dave.
Day 3, the final day of our exclusive live televised broadcast coverage from the IPCPR Convention, Sands Expo Center, Las Vegas, Nevada. And I can tell you that we are tired. We have smoked a ton of cigars. We have had ample amounts of libation. We have conversed with all the greats in the world of cigars. And I can tell you, as tired as I am, I could do it for another week. This is absolutely the place to be if you are a cigar connoisseur. Long ash greetings and salutations. A long ash snappy salute, semper delectatio. Always pleasure, America's Alpha Male front and center from Command Center Alpha here at the Sands Expo Center. We have a great hour for you planned today. We have for the entire hour, we'll be spending with the great people from Davidoff. And they have had an absolutely incredible year beginning last year at the 2013 IPCPR Convention. A huge launch, the Davidoff Nicaragua, the launch, if you will, and repackaging of the Camacho brand. It has been huge, but they have not rested. We have got a lot to talk about today here on this edition of the Cigar Dave Show. My pleasure to welcome here to Command Center Alpha on the Cigar Dave Show. First, Hans-Kristian Hoejsgaard, the CEO of Davidoff Ottinger Davidoff.
Exactly. Thank you.
I knew I was going to get it right. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
And we have Jim Young, the president of Davidoff North America, a resident of the Cigar City, so we see each other all the time.
Yes, sir.
We've got Dylan Austin, the brand manager of Camacho USA, and I'll give a salute to Rich all the way down at the end there, brand manager for Davidoff Cigars. Gentlemen, great to have you here. And I should say that last night you threw an absolutely outstanding gala, an outstanding party called the Davidoff Golden Band Awards, and that is to recognize many of your retailers, industry insiders, and what an outstanding evening, 5-star all the way.
Thank you very much. We are very pleased you like it. We were very happy ourselves, and obviously the idea and the opportunity to just appreciate what the cigar retailers around this country is doing is obviously just wonderful, and it was a great ambiance in the room, very emotional, and it was just a lovely evening.
Jim, black tie evening, and it was just from the time you walked in to the time you left, superb is what I would say. It was very well done. The night moved. You have outstanding entertainment. It was a Hollywood production, an outstanding tribute and message from Avo, who couldn't travel from Orlando, but that everybody was standing in ovation for Avo.
Yeah, third year in a row now, Dave, and we just love it. It's a great opportunity for us to just take a moment here at this crazy trade show and not just have a dinner, have a very special evening, of course, with a dinner, and take the opportunity to recognize from amongst our appointed merchants, those are the exclusive distributors of Davidoff across the companies, about 240 of them, the very best of the best in terms of performance, merchandising, and a handful of other important categories that drive our business.
No question about it. And we have a picture that we took last night because we all looked pretty good last night, and we'll show that picture, all of us. I think do we have that? We should have that. It's not incriminating. Don't worry. We will get to that in just a moment. But really, I think last night epitomized what cigar. There's the picture. I think, do we have that? We have it in the background, but let's put it on the main monitor. There we go. Last night, and I think you can get an idea of what that room looked like. He had beautiful pictures of people last year and Avo and many of the Davidoff people, the great Zino Davidoff, that were highlighted. Just a very elegant evening, great entertainment. And last night was really what cigars are all about. You have a great slogan, time beautifully filled. And when you think about it, it's about people enjoying great conversation, great camaraderie. It's not just the cigar you're smoking, but the people that you're with.
Absolutely. That whole new line of Time Beautiful Filled is really resonating very well, because that's exactly what a cigar is. This is a good catalyst for taking 45 minutes or whatever it takes for a great cigar to enjoy that in a busy day. So time is the ultimate luxury, and that's why we have to make sure that we do the right thing in those small breaks.
And Hans-Kristian, you were actually in the time business at one time.
Right.
In a previous life, you were the CEO of Timex.
Absolutely, and I still keep on ticking.
You keep on ticking. It takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And I think everybody remembers that phrase. And certainly, Time Beautifully Filled is I think it's short and very succinct and really captures what you're looking to do. Jim, it has been a very busy year for actually, you've been there now, I think, 2 years?
3.
Is it 3?
Coming up on 3.
Boy, time flies.
Sure does.
And I remember meeting you at the trade convention in New Orleans for the very first time.
No, it wasn't New Orleans. Vegas was my first one.
I invited him as a guest.
As a guest, okay. But your first official as the incoming CEO of Davidoff North America, I think, was New Orleans, wasn't it?
No, it was Orlando. Vegas 12.
Orlando, you're right.
Orlando, I'm sorry.
It's all running together now. I totally forgot about Orlando.
But I'll see you in New Orleans next year.
You will see us in New Orleans. I'll see you in Tampa before that. But when you took over, you had a great crew, obviously, and Dylan and Rich and many of the other crew that you have at your Tampa headquarters. But you really, I think, gave them a challenge to really elevate the bar and change things, and not your grandfather's Davidoff, if you will. And you and Hans-Kristian have totally changed that perception.
Yeah, it was there was a lot of internal things to sort out when I first got there, and we spent the first half a year, maybe 9 months doing that, and then shifted our focus to consumers, to our customers, and now we're seeing the results of that. We're starting to get some terrific growth the last couple of years, and this year is going very well, even better than at this point last year, and long may it last.
I don't know if we are allowed to say this, but I think you blew through your entire projection for Davidoff Nicaragua in the first, month?
Yeah.
3 weeks?
It was about
2
3
days?
weeks.
It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Well, that is absolutely incredible.
Well, there's a story behind that.
And the roll continues. We're doubling our budget, our projections every month this year.
Doubling every month?
Yeah, it's been good.
He's going to be very busy down at the factory making the Davidoff Nicaragua. And let's talk about the Davidoff Nicaragua, because I think, without any question, that was probably the biggest single hit in the entire cigar industry last year. Rich?
Without a doubt. As Hans-Kristian says, from a global standpoint, it was one of the most successful launches since we left Cuba. I think we resonated by coming with a different region, kind of stepping out of the box for the Davidoff comfort zone, and going to a region where it's hot. Nicaragua's hot, but the most important thing is that we were able to use the Nicaraguan tobacco, but do it in our Davidoff style.
And it's interesting because you created a cigar that certainly has a unique taste profile, but it is so balanced and so smooth. It really is an any time of day cigar. I think it's in that medium plus with just beautiful notes and characteristics. So you can have it any time of day, and it's not going to overpower you. And that's really the way a cigar should be.
Exactly. And I think what was wonderful here was that it was really the first Puro Nicaragua in that premium segment. And I think people have got a completely different, impression and taste. So that was really great. What I think also was very special was the fact that we wanted to stay with the Davidoff quality. So yes, we grew the tobacco, we fermented, we did all the things in Nicaragua. Then we shipped it back to Haiti in the Dominican. So we were sure that also from a rolling standpoint, that everything was at the Davidoff standard. And I think that resonated very well. And may I add that the big reason that it's such a growth fuel for the Davidoff brand is that 2/3 of the Davidoff Nicaragua smokers are new to our brand. So they switched from something else outside our portfolio. And that's obviously the ultimate success for us.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think people switched? What was it about the cigar? Was it the packaging? Was it the buzz about the cigar? What do you think it was?
I think it was all of the above, but I think it's first and foremost the fact that a lot of people recognize and respect Davidoff, but the classic series were mild for a lot of people. And they was just looking for something with a little bit more full-bodied, medium plus, as you say, and that gave them an excuse to return and rediscover Davidoff. That it basically enlarged the menu.
And Rich, I love the packaging. You've got the three little triangles that represent the mountains of Nicaragua. And in fact, if you bring that over, I want to show that, because that really, it's Davidoff, simple and elegant, but it makes, I think, a very profound statement. And you can see the three mountains there, Davidoff, Nicaragua, again, with the traditional Davidoff signature, but those three mountains, just the way that you did it, it's simple, clean, but very, very, I think, prominent. Let's talk about the new offering at this year's IPCPR convention, the Davidoff Diadema, a very unique size and shape. Rich?
Yeah, it's the newest addition to the line. It's a beautiful Davidoff Diadema Fina shape, and we feel that Henke tends to shine with this shape. It's one of Henke's favorite shapes to make.
And when you make the Diadema, I'm sure on Henke's end, you need a really very experienced torcedor, a roller, to be able to do that. That's not an easy shape to do.
Correct. The wrapper leaf is made out of one leaf, and the rollers have to make very special cuts to make sure that it ensures the quality, and we can do it in one leaf.
Let me ask you, in terms, Jim, when you all started the concept, take us through from beginning to end, from the time whoever came up with the idea to the time you finally launched it last year. Give our viewers and listeners an idea of exactly what the process, how it took place, the entire process.
What, for the
For Davidoff Nicaragua.
Well, I'm going to turn that right over to my my boss here, because it was more or less his idea. How about that?
All right, Hans-Kristian, your idea.
Yes. Well, it was my idea to challenge the company to make sure that we came out with something different. So it actually started in November 2011. I joined March that year, and I said to Henke, we had to have something different, something that is really not the typical Dominican. And he famously said, "This is mission impossible for me." So I said, no, it's not, and we had a lot of back and forth. And first we got the blend, and I remember we got all of these samples to Basel, and there was always a little bit of Dominican tobacco in there. So I said to Henke, no, we need a puro Nicaragua, and finally it came. So that was really a big process. It took 18 months, but it came on the back of the fact that in April 2012, we launched the Time Beautifully Filled line, which was, based on a lot of research, basically saying that when people smoke Davidoff, they would say they smoke Davidoff. If they smoke something else, they are more origin focused. They would say, I smoke Cuban, or I smoke whatever. So the whole idea of Time Beautifully Filled, making Davidoff the brand and not the origin, and then on top, Davidoff Nicaragua. So it was an 18 months, 19 months process.
Yeah, I don't think people care if it's from the Dominican or Nicaragua or Honduras. They want a great cigar. That's what they want. And I think that's first and foremost, and Henke proved that you can take the great Nicaraguan tobaccos and bring them over to Henke in the Dominican and make a great cigar. Quick funny story, last year I went to Henke, I said, now Henke, and you know how precise Henke is. I said, Henke, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the Davidoff Nicaragua in terms of taste? And he said, taste 8.2346, aroma 9.751. Like not an 8, not a 7. He's very, very precise, and I always tell that story because that's how he takes everything. He wants it to be absolutely precise and perfect, and I think that's why all the Davidoff product coming out of the factory in the Dominican is outstanding.
Absolutely, no. I mean, without Henke, this would not have been possible. So it might have been mission impossible without him, but with him, it was possible.
And why do you think he said mission impossible? I'm surprised because Henke makes great cigars. Was he just not comfortable working with the Nicaraguan tobacco, do you think?
He was, I'm sure he was comfortable, but he is through and through Dominican, and he thinks, like many Dominicans, that the best cigars in the world are from the Dominican Republic, and a lot of people in Nicaragua think the best cigars in the world are from Nicaragua. So I just think this was his natural competition. But he took up the challenge, as you know, and now we are growing our own seeds there. We are growing new hybrids and whatever, and he's very excited, and now the clear driver of this.
Fantastic. Well, we continue from the 2014 International Premium Cigar Retailers Convention. We'll continue our conversation with the great people from Davidoff, Hans-Kristian Hoejsgaard, Jim Young, Dylan Austin, and Rich Krutick. And when we come back, I'm going to fire up for the National Cigar Lightation Ceremony, one of those Davidoff Nicaragua Diademas that we've been talking about. All the gentlemen up here have lit up. I'm the only one. There's a big problem with that, but I will light up when we come back.
The Cigar Intel is coming fast and furious on this special televised edition of the Cigar Dave Show, live from Las Vegas. Exclusive broadcast coverage of the 2014 IPCPR convention is presented in part by Davidoff Cigars. Time beautifully filled. Introducing the new Davidoff Nicaragua Diadema. The adventure continues. The experience reaches new heights. And the new Primeros Nicaragua by Davidoff. The cigar of the year is now the adventure of 15 minutes. Now, from the Sands Expo Center in Las Vegas, the General Cigar Dave.
Well, speaking of the Davidoff Nicaragua Diademas, that's exactly what I have in my hand, and that's what I will enjoy for the National Cigar Lightation Ceremony. We will fire up the music, and I will tell you that I have in my right hand, my hot hand, the Davidoff Classic Double-Edged Stainless Steel Guillotine Cutter. Very elegant way to cut your cigar, gentlemen. Much classier than I normally use, I will tell you that. And I have a fantastic Davidoff lighter. Let's fire up the music. I need to get in the right thing here to get that music going. So I'm going to get the Davidoff lighter. And specifically, do we have a name for this? A brand name? I want to make sure.
That's Jim's lighter.
That's Jim's lighter. This is the Davidoff Jim's lighter. And this is a flint-based system, the oldest method of producing fire known to mankind. So we're going back in time, and I will use this. And as I get ready to cut my cigar, one more time, Rich, tell me, I know it's a Nicaraguan puro, tell me a little bit about the flavor, the sizes, suggested retail price.
Yeah, it's the Diadema Fina. The suggested retail price is $17.90, and it uses the tobacco from the 5 major growing regions of Nicaragua.
Fantastic. And I know it's got some Ometepe in here, if I'm not mistaken.
It
correct?
does.
Which is that volcanic, that island that has great volcanic soil, and that adds a very unique complexion in that. And what was when you decided to come out with a Diadema, which is a unique shape, what was the rationale behind that? You wanted something unique, something limited?
We wanted to add a shape. The other sizes are straight. We wanted to add a shape, and like I said earlier, Henke really seems to shine with the Diadema format.
I'm waiting for the 5-star general size.
Yeah, exactly.
A 7x70.
Exactly.
Very nice.
Exactly. People like big cigars in the U.S., Dave. That's one of the nice things, and so this we've been very excited about coming out with this for a while now.
You know, one thing whenever you have a Diadema Perfecto, draw is always an issue, and every single one of the Davidoff Diademas that I've been enjoying, perfect draw. So clearly you have specific people in the factory that make this. Not everybody makes this particular size.
There's only 9 roller cups who are allowed to do the Davidoff.
That's it. That is it. Let's move along. I want to talk about the Primeros by Davidoff. A nice, I call it walk the dog cigar. You don't have a lot of time, but you still want to enjoy that Davidoff wonderful taste. Tell us about that, Rich.
Exactly. We say experience the cigar of the year in a 15-minute adventure.
Yep.
We leverage the beautiful launch of Davidoff Nicaragua, and we're able to expand that for those short moments of pleasure. And the beautiful thing about this product is that we're opening up our distribution so people can try Davidoff. So now the Davidoff Primeros is open beyond our appointed merchant network into other tobacconists.
So any retailer in the country, not necessarily a Davidoff appointed merchant.
That's right.
Because there's only 239, 240?
Yeah. 240.
240. Very, very limited across a pretty big country.
Right, and it's only 540 worldwide, so almost half is still in the U.S.
And I know the last number of years you've actually opened up some very nice stores. I know where we live down in the Tampa Bay area, Cigar Cave, John Aslan, right by Innisbrook. Good golf course, Jim. I know you've hit it a few times.
Get out there.
That's a great store, and so you've added stores like that are really great progressive retailers.
Yeah, and the thinking there, Dave, is I have a new phrase: Davidoff should be where Davidoff should be, and we have a very rigid set of criteria that we use to make sure that if we do open up an appointed merchant, we know the tobacconist. We have a history with him, and he's up to snuff on payments, and he's been growing our business, the rest of the portfolio. And if it's not in an area that would compete directly with one of our existing appointed merchants, then there'll be a candidate. We have a process we go through to do that. So yeah, at any given time, we're sort of in conversations with a half dozen maybe appointed merchants. And then on the flip side, there are some tobacconists for whom Davidoff really is just not working. They're not in the right area. Maybe their business is kind of going in a different direction, and we're not happy with it. Because if you sign up for our exclusive distribution model, you got to sign up for the standards that go with it, and they're exacting, and the whole thought there is if you come into a store and Davidoff is there, the whole store needs to be up to a certain standard.
I know that over the past year or so, you're actually implementing some new Davidoff displays in many of your appointed merchants. I'd like to talk about that because I happen to see a few of them, and they're very well done, very elegant.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the whole idea here again was Davidoff is a brand, not an origin, and we need to convey that at point of sale in our own stores, and more importantly, of course, at the point of merchant. And the whole idea of the power of visual merchandising. We always said when we walk into a humidor, typically, it's a sea of brown. And by coming out with the Davidoff white displays, the 5-point merchandising, the Davidoff shop and shops, it really stands out. I'm sure Rich can tell some stories about how well it's working.
Yeah, I mean, we've analyzed some of those shop and shops, and every single appointed merchant that has a shop and shop has seen double-digit increases for displaying Davidoff in the way that we believe Davidoff should be displayed.
Will eventually every Davidoff appointed merchant have that shop-in-shop type concept?
I'll take that. I don't think so. I mean, you go into a lot of the humidors around the country, and they're just not sized sufficiently to take on that unit. It's rather large. It's 9 feet tall.
We're shortening it to 8.
We are shortening it to 8, and it's 10 feet wide. Shortening it to 9, but it's a sizable. It's impactful. Your eyes go right to it when you walk into the store.
And I'm sure what we've seen, I know the last number of years, you look at how retailers have changed. 20, 30 years ago, people didn't sit around to smoke their cigars. You could smoke anywhere. You went in, you bought your cigars, and you left. Today, it is more like a speakeasy. You want to not only buy your cigars, you want to have a place where you can enjoy your cigars. And as retailers have changed, that presents new opportunities for Davidoff. And you as well, Davidoff, actually has a number of lounges across the world. You're redoing some stores in New York. I know you said last night you have a big announcement down the road. So clearly, you've changed as the marketplace, and the ability to smoke your cigars has changed over the last number of years.
It has, and I know Hans-Kristian will want to talk about what's happening outside of the U.S. here, but in the U.S. in the last few years, we've had the opportunity to work with retailers and open up beautiful Davidoff lounges on the back of having finalized our global retail concept. And so, if you walk into a lounge in New York or Chattanooga or San Antonio, you're going to be walking into familiar territory, a warm, inviting environment, and very, very Davidoff on the lounge side. And then on the retail side, you're absolutely right. We have 2 stores that we own in New York. We are planning to almost ready to break the store that exists and replace it with a beautiful Davidoff of Geneva since 1911, Davidoff of Geneva, 6th Avenue store. That'll be happening in the next few weeks, getting going, and hopefully we'll open up before the holidays.
And Hans-Kristian, last night you said there's one at one of the airports, a couple airports across the country, I believe.
Yeah, well, we have opened our first flagship store, Davidoff of Geneva, since 1911 in JFK Terminal 4.
JFK Terminal 4?
Absolutely. So that just opened its doors a few weeks ago. So that was our first into the duty-free area of America, but we opened 3 in Hong Kong Airport, we have opened in Taipei, in Tokyo, and we soon have announcements for further airports. But just coming back to what you said, I think it's very good to take the advice that when the market changes, you also change, because I think we have an obligation really to make sure that with all the restrictions that we create those spaces where people can enjoy a cigar. We now have 165 lounges worldwide, and 150 of those under the Davidoff name that we have Camacho and Avo and Cena Platinum as well. But that's clearly where we very aggressively will expand, because we need to make sure that guys and girls can enjoy a cigar.
Jim and I are big football fans. He's a Giants fan. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Marv Levy, Hall of Fame head coach, had a great saying. He said, you have to change with the times, or the times will change you. Yeah. And so clearly Davidoff has changed with the times. And talking about airports, Hans-Kristian, all of us, Jim, Dylan, Rich, we all live in the Cigar City. We travel to Tampa International Airport. We'd really like to see a Davidoff lounge right at TIA. I think that would be outstanding.
Good challenge.
That would be outstanding. Talk about cigars in Tampa. That would be absolutely beautiful. Before we get on a flight, we could have a Davidoff Nicaragua.
Would you make a few phone calls for us?
Actually, we could do that. I will absolutely do that. In fact, at one time, there was a cigar store in the landside at Tampa International, and they actually had a roller there, and it was a very popular place. And then I think they kind of reconfigured, but that would be something as Tampa International is trying to get more and more of the local restaurants and local flavor. Tampa Cigar City, I think that would be perfect.
Great idea. Love to do it.
That would be. Hey, listen, I know I'd be before every flight. I'd be hanging out there. Much better hanging out than getting a shoe shine. I can tell you that. Let me ask you. Let me bring in Dylan here. Dylan Austin, the brand manager for Camacho USA. Dylan, you were also pretty busy the last couple of years because Camacho has undergone a total transformation. We'll let you sit in the big chair there. Total transformation. In fact, last year you made such big waves that there were 2 scorpions, which is the logo on the Camacho box, that were accidentally released, and there were signs, willing to pay a reward if found, and that freaked a lot of people out. But it got their attention.
Yeah, the Shepherd Services wasn't too happy about that one.
They didn't like that. But you've totally changed the entire look, and I will tell you this. We'll show this. If you could turn that box, yep. I would like to display that box. Just point that up to the camera. I want you to take a look at that, because the box is magnificent, and even we are in full high definition, it does not do it justice until you look at that box and all the Camacho boxes in person. They are just exquisite. They pop. There's nothing else like it. The colors are unique, very bold, which is exactly what you wanted. And talk about the Camacho transformation.
Yeah, it's been a great year, and actually, this show marks the 1-year anniversary of us starting to ship product nationwide. As you know, we started out in Dallas. We did a test market in Dallas. It started last May. Threw a big party, had a lot of fun there. Showed it off to about 500 consumers in a grand unveiling on a beautiful evening of June 20th last year. Then we went into full nationwide distribution with the new product. And we did a lot of work with the product. We had 11 product lines before, cut it down and focused it down to about 6 product lines. So going from about 140 SKUs to about 34. Did some work on the cigars as well. Ramped up about 4 out of the 6 blends. Then I think what we put out was one of the greatest consumer platforms I think has come out in the past couple of years in this business. So
no question, it has been a huge hit, just like the Davidoff Nicaragua. And when you have success, now they want more success.
They want more success.
and you followed up with the Camacho Ecuador, big hit.
Absolutely.
Talk about that cigar.
This is my baby. So this is the first new line since the relaunch. It's actually the first new Camacho line also since 2007. We had kind of a gap in the portfolio between the Connecticut and the Corojo, so folks can come in and jump into the franchise on our Connecticut, but most folks they couldn't. There was no kind of medium-bodied offering to get them and step them up to our flagship, the Corojo line. So the Ecuador is just that.
It's beautiful. Talk about the Connecticut line. That is a cigar that you can have any time of day or night. It's smooth, a little bit of sweetness, creamy. I love it in the tube, the Robusto that's in the tube. Right after I do my power walk on Sunday, get back, kind of read the paper, light up one of those cigars and have a little coffee outside. It's a beautiful way to spend a morning. And that's a very nice cigar for any connoisseur, whether
absolutely.
You're novice or you're experienced. And the price point on the Camacho Ecuador is very, on all the Camachos, but on the Connecticut is outstanding.
Yeah, our core line sits between about $7 and $8.50.
Right. Yeah. And now the Ecuador, tell us about the blending of that particular cigar.
So this particular blend has a gorgeous Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. It's got a Brazilian Matafina Piner. The fillers are Dominican Pelo de Oro Ligero and also some Honduran Criollo and Corojo.
Fabulous. And medium-bodied, how many sizes and suggested retail?
We have 5 shapes, so our 5 core shapes. It's Robusto, Toro, Churchill, Figurado, and Gordo.
And it's absolutely outstanding. And you've really done a great job because Camacho always made great cigars, but what you did, I think, is you exposed it to it. It just pops on the shelf now. You walk in, you cannot help not to notice it. Yeah. You see it and you're gravitated toward it. And you were the first to really do that vertical band. Yeah. If we open up the box, let's show what I'm talking about. And they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. There's some imitators out there that are trying to do that, but you were the first. Take a look at this band. You can see there's Camacho, but when you look at it, again, it's everything is done really kind of vertically. Well, I don't know if I say horizontally, vertically. I guess it depends on your perspective.
I don't know how you hold it.
It's exactly right. It's not the traditional way that you'd see the band. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So very, very nice. And again, those colors are really pop. We have much more to talk about with the great folks from Davidoff, Hans-Kristian Hoejsgaard, Jim Young, Dylan Austin, Rich Krutick. When we come back, we absolutely have to touch on Avo, one of the greats, not only just in the greats in the world of cigars, but a great gentleman all the way around. They've got a new brand called BG Meyer we'll talk about, and a number of other things as we continue our conversation the entire hour with the folks from Davidoff from the 2014 IPCPR convention in Las Vegas.
Breaking cigar intel continues live from Las Vegas on this special televised edition of the Cigar Dave Show. Exclusive coverage from the 2014 IPCPR convention in Las Vegas is presented in part by Davidoff Cigars. Time beautifully filled. Introducing the new Davidoff Nicaragua Diadema. The adventure continues. The experience reaches new heights. And the new Primeros Nicaragua by Davidoff. The cigar of the year is now the adventure of 15 minutes. Once again, from Command Center Alpha at the Sands Expo Center, here's the General, Cigar Dave.
Thoroughly enjoying my Davidoff Nicaragua Diadema. In fact, Rich, feel free to leave the entire box here for me. I'm sure I can polish them off by the end of the week.
Anything for you, Dave.
There you go. See, very well done.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a new brand, a very unique brand that is not really under the Camacho banner, but somewhat, because there's kind of a relationship there. One of the Camacho Board of the Bold is a big producer, Entourage, and you've taken that and you've got a new brand that you're working with him on called BG Meyer.
Yeah, so it's actually, it's underneath the Camacho line. So it's not a new brand, it's an extension of what Camacho is.
So it's going to be called Camacho BG Meyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Same thing we did with Coach Ditka and with Matt Booth as well.
The Bears, Coach Ditka.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it to this year's show. But yeah, so the B.G. Meyer is a new addition under the Camacho brand. As you said, Dave, Rob Weiss was the producer of Entourage. He produced American Psycho, a number of movies and cable TV shows. Joined us last year under the Board of the Bold, and here we are today with his new cigar, the B.G. Meyer Standard Issue. And then we also have a nice addition, a short smoke called the B.G. Meyer Slackers.
And what is B.G. Meyer?
So the story is Rob has a restaurant and bar company that he actually named after his Rottweiler that passed a couple of years. And Rottweiler's name was Meyer, but he called him Big Meyer. So we shortened it up, and now it sounds like B.G. Meyer.
So, B.G. Meyer, the initials.
Exactly.
I mean, exactly. And was this cigar blended after his taste palette? Was he involved in the
Yeah, absolutely. So this project's been in the works for about 3 years. We had Rob down in Honduras, I want to say about 18 months ago. The unique thing about this cigar, it's actually the first Camacho line to utilize some Nicaraguan tobaccos in the filler.
Right, because Camacho really has its roots in Honduras.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I never thought about that. They've never used Nicaraguan tobacco.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, the great things since joining the Davidoff family is the diversity of tobaccos that we now have access to. So you can see, a lot of the work that we did with the new Camacho blends. You see a lot of tobaccos from different origins. This is the first time we've played with Nicaraguan.
And what is the taste complexion of the cigar?
It's sweet, it's savory, it's got a nice, it's got some nice pepper to it. Medium to full in intensity.
And who would this cigar appeal to? What segment of the cigar connoisseur consumers are you going after on this?
Folks that like a bolder smoke, also fans of Nicaraguan cigars.
And the suggested retail?
Suggested retail is between $8 and $10.
So it's still in that Camacho, just a little bit above the Camacho price
Just
range.
A little bit above, exactly.
And will that be a limited cigar? That'll be available year-round, no problem?
It's a core line for us.
It is a core line?
Yeah.
Outstanding. And when you look to create these, like I know you've got Matt Booth, Room 101, these are all edgy type cigars. Is that a direction you want to take with Camacho where everything coming out is going to have that unique edge, maybe slanted towards a younger demographic? When I say younger, maybe in the mid-20s to say late 30s? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think, out of all the brands in our portfolio, it is one of those brands that we can definitely cater to a younger demographic. It's also great to have these personalities that kind of give us a taste of their own spirit, which really plays into the DNA of the brand.
So when you first joined, it's very interesting because you started with Camacho down in Miami.
Right.
Then you moved to Tampa over with Davidoff. And you've really been given pretty much the last few years under Jim free reign to reimagine the brand and change the brand and under Hans-Kristian's direction. And you've done that. So now what do you look? When you're looking down in another year, you've got to keep outdoing yourself. I know Hans-Kristian wants you to do that, same thing with Jim. How do you decide? How do you come up with the ideas? What goes through your mind? Just open up, have a cigar, open up a libation, and just start, brainstorming, or how do you come about with those edgy ideas?
That's a tough question, Dave.
Well, I can't give you easy questions.
Sometimes they come in my sleep, or right before I'm going to sleep. I don't know, man.
Do you find
it
the
could
best
be somebody that I meet,
just like happen, or you're
really to be honest, there are things that inspire me. It could be a person that I meet. It could be an event. It could be whatever it is.
And what inspired you to create the Board of the Bold? How did that come about?
To be honest, we needed a face for the brand. I'm not the face for the brand. The brand has a personality. Even though I've helped develop it, I wouldn't say I'm as bold as the Camacho brand is. So these guys that we've brought on board definitely reflect that well.
Hans-Kristian, I know an area that is very important to you is the Davidoff name in accessories.
Yes.
Because when you think about it, I still have the Zeno cutter that you can actually, was probably given to me about 17, 18 years ago.
So it's 25 years old.
25 years old.
Right.
I think it was $40, $35, $40, and it just works. As long as you don't lose it, which chances are you'll lose it before you'll break it.
That's correct.
And I remember when one of your predecessors gave it to me. He said, and by the way, every year you can just put it in the dishwasher and clean the blades, and I have, and it works like a charm. And they're outstanding cutters, but Davidoff is really if you will, reimagine the accessories. You've got a couple of new, the red and the white lines now.
Exactly. We really think that accessories for Davidoff is a great opportunity, great potential going forward. And obviously when you are expanding your retail footprint, you also have to create more theater and more excitement in the store, not just cigars. And we think it's a big blue ocean, as they say at Harvard, that there's a big opportunity there. So the first thing that you're seeing at the IPCPR here is that we have come out with a leather line, a Davidoff China, which is the red leather line, where we actually work with very, very high quality leather on the lighters, on the cutters, and of course on the humidors, and the Davidoff white line as well. And this is a great. It's more the collection idea. So it's not just the humidor per se, but there's the whole range. And what is interesting is, of course, that then it becomes part of the home. We always say if you're going to buy a $15,000 leather humidor, you might want to bring your wife around, so she's sure that it fits, in the home design as well.
I may dispute that, but well, listen, as the great Zino Davidoff said, if your wife doesn't like the aroma of your cigars, change wives.
Right, exactly. That is exactly right.
What are the price points of the red and the white Davidoff accessory line?
Well, it is going all the way up from from a few $100s to $5,000-$6,000.
So if somebody wants a nice humidor, a nice ashtray, different price points along the line, something that's a little bit more elegant than just a standard.
We can go all the way up in customized versions as well. So it can go all the way up to $15,000.
And how long have you been working on the new red and white line?
That has to, again, it's a very, very long process. Again, it's handmade, it's handcrafted. So this is again a 12-15 months process.
Looking down the road, Hans-Kristian, because I know you're always forward-thinking, where do you see, where would you like to see Davidoff continue to go? What direction in terms of cigars, accessories, in terms of its place, not just internationally, but here in the United States?
I mean, basically, we want to keep the momentum, seize the momentum we have right now, and make sure that the brand really appeals to more and more people. And I think we do that by saying that Davidoff is the umbrella, and you always are assured of quality, consistency, new experiences, excitement. So I see we are going forward with more pillars. We now have a Dominican pillar, we have a Nicaraguan, and I'm sure we will return to Cuba one day whenever that situation clears up, and there might be other opportunities in between. And then the accessories piece becomes that sort of thing that puts everything together, that it's really a brand, so it becomes a gentleman's destination.
And really, and I said this, it's not your grandfather's Davidoff, because the perception, as you know, for many years,
Absolutely.
Davidoff was very stodgy, very stale, very slow to act. And since you've gotten in there, it's been 180. It is totally edgy, totally different, because I'm sure that if other people would have seen it maybe in previous regimes, they would have looked and keeled over saying, what are you thinking?
Right.
But you encourage innovation and new ideas.
Yes. We want really to win in innovation, because I think we lost that leadership a bit. I think we were very innovative under Zino's leadership, and also, but in the last 10 years we probably lost that, and I really wanted to regain, and I think we have proven that we are back in the game there, and we can really push the envelope and come out with new ideas. And I hope that, not only in the United States, but globally, the fact that we are a brand, that's what appeals to people in emerging markets, new markets like China, Russia, Middle East, and everywhere.
And I forgot to mention that Jim Young, who was on the stage for the first half of the show, president of Davidoff North America, had a very important client that he had to meet with. So when you got to write a big order, he had to leave.
Exactly.
Business comes first. So, but everybody else up here, Hans-Kristian Hoejsgaard, Rich Krutick, and Dylan Austin doing a fine job. When we come back, I want to wrap up with one of the great legends, not only in the world of cigars, in the world of music, and a great gentleman overall, the great Avo Uvesian. As the final and concluding segment of this special televised live edition of the Cigar Dave Show comes your way next.
International Premium Cigar Retailers Convention in Las Vegas continues.
When you light a Davidoff cigar, you set aglow the richest tradition of cigar making in the world. You release craftsmanship achieved by our investment in that most precious of commodities, time. The time it takes to create a Davidoff cigar as it passes through 600 hands before it arrives in yours. The time it takes to age and mature the tobacco which fills a Davidoff cigar, sometimes as much as 10 years. The time it takes to hand pick, hand roll, and then carefully hand-check each individual cigar before it is fit to wear the legendary Davidoff white band. In every second of enjoyment, there are decades of experience. In every way, it is time beautifully filled.
Cigar Dave's exclusive broadcast coverage from the 2014 International Premium Cigar Retailers Convention is presented in part by Davidoff Cigars. Time beautifully filled. Introducing the new Davidoff Nicaragua Diadema. The adventure continues. The experience reaches new heights. And the new Primeros Nicaragua by Davidoff. The cigar of the year is now the adventure of 15 minutes. Now, from Command Center Alpha in Las Vegas, America's Alpha Male-in-Chief, Cigar Dave.
Wherever you may be watching us now live, we hope that you are enjoying a cigar, you're enjoying a libation, that you are doing what cigars are all about, and that's enjoying life's great pleasures. And I'm certainly enjoying it, and with company of great people such as Hans-Kristian Hoejsgaard, the CEO of Oettinger Davidoff. We've got Rich Krutick, the brand manager for Davidoff USA, Dylan Austin, brand manager for Camacho USA. And I want to bring Rich in because last night you had a wonderful tribute to Avo Uvesian. Musician, cigar blender, cigar master, cigar legend, just outstanding gentleman. I think if you say just gentleman, that really covers it all. He really is. And it was just a very nice piece. He celebrated his 88th birthday. He had a special cigar that came out for that. And I know when I talked to him not too long ago, he said, I'm already working on my 89th, which I think is great.
That's right. I mean, Avo really is an industry legend. When we look around this trade show and we see all these personalities, Avo truly is one of those original cigar celebrities. I mean, if you've ever met him, it's an instant connection.
Right.
He's a charmer. He's social. I mean, he's loved by everyone.
I want to relay a great story that one of our listeners emailed to me, and I think I told this to you, Rich, when we had lunch not too long ago. It was probably about 3 months ago. And he said, the email said that we're talking about Avo. It was right around March, so talking about Avo, about his 88th birthday. I wanted to share a story with you. He said, I was a Vietnam veteran. I was on leave. He said he had just left the military, just honorably discharged. He was getting married, didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but he scraped enough to go to Puerto Rico, but only had enough for like 2 nights. And he happened to be at the hotel, and a gentleman, he was at the bar, and a gentleman happened to be overhearing the conversation and said, well, it's your honeymoon, you're out of the military, how long are you here for? And he said, just 2 days, that's all I can afford. And he said, well, if you had a place to stay, would you like to stay longer? And he said, well, sure, that would be great. He said, well, my name is Avo Uvesian. I have a villa here that I'm not using. You're welcome to use it for as long as you want, and it's my pleasure, and it'll be my gift to you. And they ended up staying for 4 extra days, and this was probably 30 some odd years later. He wrote to me to tell me that because he heard the show, and I thought that was just an exceptional story, and that really captures Avo. He's a real gentleman, and for somebody to do something like that gracious, I think speaks volumes. And we're not surprised because we know Avo, but it still is a magnificent, remarkable story.
Yeah, absolutely. He is fantastic, and as you say, it captures everything about Avo, the man. I want to relay another story. When you say he said to you that he's working on his 89s, he's actually talked to me about his 100s.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear that. That's good. Forward thinking. And here's, every time I see Avo at any of the IPCPR conventions, he would always take out of his pocket a cigar and say, this is the blend I'm working on for next year. You're going to love it. Best ever. I said, Avo, you told that to me last year and the year before. He goes, I was BSing you. This is the best ever. So every year he always says he tops himself.
Right.
And they're great cigars. There's no question about it. You've got, obviously, with Avo and the music connection, you've come out with the Avo Greatest Hits collection.
This is a stunning product that we're very proud of. I would say Avo's limited edition has been one of the great limited edition franchises in the industry. And here we have encapsulated in one sample box all his limited editions, with the exception of one, the 2005, because that is the one cigar that Henke could not recreate. And the great thing about this is I've been watching people come and experiencing this. It's emotional. People look at this, they look at every cigar, it brings back memories. They almost remember exactly where they were or where they saw these cigars the first time they had them.
First show I did, smoked an Avo Classic number 3 back on July 8th, 1995. True story. Love the Avo, and I used to call it AVO. I didn't know it was Avo. I called it the AVO. But subsequently, I've learned otherwise. And again, that classic cigar is still as good today as it was 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Avo Classic is one of our core lines. It's really what drives the brand. And we just launched a 6x60. And one piece of information that's gotten lost in time is that there's been a great collaboration between Avo and Henke over the years.
Absolutely.
And when they started this brand over 25 years ago, Henke has always kept a special bale of tobacco in the Dominican Republic just for the Classic. So there's a piece of 25-year tobacco in every Avo Classic cigar that Henke keeps refreshing every year.
And I so look forward every year at the booth when you'd have a piano and Avo would play and watching people congregate, being mesmerized by him.
Exactly.
And I remember I asked, he wrote Strangers in the Night, so I figured something as a hit like that must have taken him months and months to work on. I said, Avo, how long did it take you to come up with Strangers in the Night? Like 6 months, a year? He said, no, about, I don't know, 2 minutes. I said, come on. He goes, no, it just came to me one night, literally, and that was it. And just like Dylan, you said, sometimes ideas just hit you. Same way with Avo.
Right.
And certainly exceptional. I still have the CD he came out with a number of years ago. Okay. Let's talk about the Avo Classic 6x60, because obviously the largest size in the Avo portfolio.
Agreed. So like I said, Avo Classic's our core, and as we look at it, we wanted to add some modern shapes. And as we know from statistics, especially our friends at Cigar Aficionado just came out with the top-selling shapes in America, 6x60s on the top of the list. So it was only fitting that we add that to our portfolio.
And I think it's fitting you're both wearing the Avo shirts in orange, and since I went to Syracuse and I'm a Syracuse Orangeman,
we're gonna have to get you one day.
Absolutely, I will wear that very, very proudly.
Right.
No question about it. And I know that you've got big plans next year for the Avo brand as well.
Yes, I mean, you've seen what we've done with Davidoff. You've obviously seen what Dylan's done with Camacho. And now I think it's Avo's turn to once again kind of make it a more modern brand. I mean, there's so much about Avo's philosophy that's beautiful that can relate to today's consumer, especially the millennials you talk about. And we're going to put some great effort behind it.
And here it is. Many, you're talking about over the next couple of years, or you talk about a brand that's been around for 25 years.
Yeah.
There are people that enjoy that brand today that weren't born when that brand was created, and that's timeless.
Right, exactly.
We're always talking about time, and think about that. To stand the test of time, that's really, it says something.
Yeah, and really savor every note. And I want to, I guess we're getting close to, I want to also share another story, is that Avo's, the collaboration between Avo and Henke, and actually Avo's original piano is in Henke's home, and all of Henke's kids have been taught to play piano on Avo. So that there's really
great story.
There's really a connection much beyond cigars.
Gentlemen, it's been a delight to spend the hour with you talking about all the great products, the new Davidoff Diadema, the Primeros, the new Camacho Ecuador, the Avo 6x60, the greatest hits, the BG Meyer, the accessories, red and white. I think I covered everything. I think we hit everything.
Right there.
Fantastic. Well, Hans-Kristian Hoejsgaard, the CEO of Ottinger Davidoff, a pleasure having you today here.
Thanks for having me.
At Broadcast Plaza 1A. Rich Krutick, we'll see you back in the Cigar City. Dylan Austin of Camacho USA. Lieutenants, hope you enjoyed the hour. We have 2 more exclusive hours coming your way later today. We've got another show coming your way, I believe, at, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which would be noon Pacific, and 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So be sure to check CigarDave.com for all the program details. Cigar Dave, the general saying, may your humidor always be full. May your cutter always be sharp. May your ash be extra, extra long. Semper Delectatio, always pleasure. So long from the Sands Expo Center, the site of the 2014 International Premium Cigar Retailers Convention. We'll see you in a bit.
This special televised edition of the Cigar Dave Show from the 2014 International Premium Cigar Retailers Convention in Las Vegas has been presented by Davidoff Cigars. Time beautifully filled. Introducing the new Davidoff Nicaragua Diadema. The adventure continues. The experience reaches new heights. And the new Primeros Nicaragua by Davidoff. The cigar of the year is now the adventure of 15 minutes. Exclusive broadcast intel from the Cigar Retailers Convention continues 24/7 on CigarDave.com.